Karen Keene is the founder and chief strategic advisor of Athena Next Gen Orlando, a one-of-a-kind leadership program that empowers professional women to level up through a masterclass series led by top female executives. With over 500 alumni, Athena Next Gen has become a powerful network, driving leadership and growth for women across Central Florida. Karen also spearheaded the creation of an endowed scholarship at the UCF Foundation, providing $150,000 in funding to support female graduate students across the university system. With 30 years of experience as a senior marketing executive and public policy expert for international and regional law firms, she has led multifaceted teams in business development, branding, strategic planning, and media relations. Beyond her professional achievements, Karen is a gun violence survivor and a fellow of Everytown for gun safety, using her voice to advocate for prevention, raise awareness, and inspire action nationwide. Her leadership and impact have earned her numerous accolades, including being named Woman of the Year twice by Orange Appeal, both in 2017 and 2024, Orlando Magazine's Woman of the Year in 2024, and I4 Business Leader of the Year 2018. Deeply committed to her community, Karen has served on numerous boards, including Women United of the Heart of Florida United Way, Orlando Economic Partnership, Investor Relations, and the Boys and Girls Club, among many others. She holds a bachelor's degree in organizational communications from Rollins College. Please welcome to the show today, Karen Keene. Welcome to the She Believes She Could podcast. I'm your host, Allison Walsh. This show is dedicated to helping you show up, shine bright, and achieve abundant success. Each episode is packed with advice and actionable resources to elevate your mindset, confidence, business, and brand, all while focusing on your happiness, well-being, and success. I am so excited that you're here. I can't wait to get started, so let's get to work.
For the women who do it all, and then do a little more. We're here for you. At Advent Health for Women, we created the region's only women's health navigation team to make healthcare simpler. Our registered nurses will match you with the right doctors, schedule your appointments, and more for you and your whole family. So you can keep making hard look easy.
Karen, it is such a privilege to have you on the show today. Before we jump into all the questions that I'm so excited to ask you, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself with the audience?
Well, thank you, Allison, and thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here. I have been in Central Florida for 48 years, which is amazing. And I've literally seen this entire area grow up, from cow pastures to the beautiful city that we are today. And it's been wonderful living and working here all these years. I went to Rollins College. After I graduated from college, I went into marketing and business development and public relations for professional services firms. So I did that for a really long time in engineering, and then transferred all of my skills over to working for corporate law firms. So I did that for close to 30 years. And in addition to that, I've been really involved in the community. One of the organizations that I had the absolute pleasure of co-founding is an organization called Athena Next Gen. And it's a women's leadership program that has been in existence for about 15 years here in Orlando. And I still work on the board of directors with amazing women who run this organization, and have since been really involved in other aspects of the community. And while I no longer am employed working in the law firm arena, I do quite a bit in other areas of community involvement. So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm thrilled that you are here. And I'd love to just double click on all things Athena Next Gen, because what you've been able to do and how you've been able to propel women forward. I'd love for those listening, if their interest is piqued, what is it? Tell us more, because you really do help equip women with the skills that they need to go out and be even more successful than they already are.
Well, Athena Next Gen really started as an idea here in Central Florida because we knew that women wanted to create a bridge to basically pass the baton onto the younger generation. And when we started this program, it was back in 2010, and we knew that there were a lot of really great women's organizations in Central Florida. certainly nowhere as many as there are today. But what wasn't around at that particular time was an organization that was focused on women's leadership for women by women. And that was the difference. Lots of amazing leadership organizations here, such as Leadership Orlando, and certainly the OEP has some wonderful leadership programs. But Athena Next Gen was the very first program created in Central Florida that offers professional development skills, and it offers basically a safe environment for women to talk about what's happening, both professionally and personally. And it's built around 8 leadership principles of how women lead. And women lead differently. I mean, they do, and we do. And so, we have amazing women leaders in all different industries that come in and facilitate 8 monthly sessions. And these sessions are around core principles such as advocating fiercely and fostering collaboration, building relationships, acting courageously, all things that I think are really, really pivotal to how women advance in their leadership development training. And each year we have a cohort of 60 professional women. We cap it at 60 because we want them to build meaningful relationships with one another. And again, they come from all different industries. We have big companies. We have women coming from the nonprofit sector, the government sector, certainly the private sector. But we also have women who might come in and they've been in corporate America for a few years and say, you know what, I think maybe I want to start my own business. And women's entrepreneurship is so important, and we facilitate sessions to help them make that transition as well. And to date, we have over 500 alumni, and it's really been one of the most rewarding initiatives that I've worked on here in Central Florida.
Oh, talk about a ripple effect. I mean, I'm sure that there are so many stories that you have, right, of just incredible women that have then gone out and done incredible things as a result of not only the lessons learned, but the relationships built, and probably most importantly, the confidence to believe in themselves to take those next steps that are going to be pivotal for their careers, whether they're going into entrepreneurship or advancing that initiative, or truly advocating for themselves as they move up amongst the ranks. Like, there's just so much value that comes from being in a safe place and a container that you feel like you have trusted mentors and people that are your allies that are helping you.
Yes.
That's huge. And, I always say, like, when somebody can hold up the mirror for somebody and help them see how incredible they are, and then give them a little extra boost to get to that next level, like, that's transformative. So thank you for all of the hard work and all of the effort that went into creating that. Do you have any favorite stories from over the years with Athena? Like, anything that really stands out as something that really has made a mark on your heart?
Absolutely. I have so many. One that comes to mind is our very first year that we launched this program. We launched it at a collaborative effort through the UCF Foundation and through the UCF College of Business. And so they had space over on Pine Street, or right around the corner from where we are today. And that's where we would offer the classes. And the first year, quite honestly, we had a cohort of 55 women. They were kind of the guinea pigs, if you will, because we were trying this brand new platform around 8 core leadership principles with brand new curriculum that had just been presented and was being now presented by amazing women in the business community. People like Sandy Hostetter, people like Helen Donegan. At the time, Mayor Teresa Jacobs was one of our facilitators. Just a phenomenal group of women. Annetta Wilson, Carolyn Fennell, some women that were really making the mark in Central Florida and wanted to pass their expertise on. We had a dynamic group that year, and they were so flexible. And, there are so many great stories just from that inaugural class, and they will always hold a special place in my heart. But in particular, we had a group of women, 8 of them, who they later affectionately refer to themselves as the Lady Squad. And they have continued to stay involved with one another over the last 11, 12 years, supporting each other through all the things that happen in their lives, getting married, having babies, advancing their careers, changing into different positions. And a lot of these women that are in this so-called Lady Squad are women who are just literally crushing it at every level today. I mean, I think about Bridget Keefe, who is the chief of staff with, the UCF president, and she was working at the Downtown Orlando Partnership at the time, and has really excelled in her career. I think about Beth Smith, who was part of the Lady Squad, who had a phenomenal career working at Orlando Health and is now one of the top state executives with Cigna. I mean, amazing women in this group. And they recently had a reunion, and we got to photograph them and listen in on, just some of the successes that they've shared with one another. And really the key was how connected they still are and how much they support one another.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about.
It's huge. The community aspect, right, of bringing like-minded people together that will be there for one another.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most valuable thing that you can do. I mean, it is life-changing. So thank you for doing that. I'm sure there's probably been some hard things too. I don't want to only share all the high notes. So
Right.
What did you learn through the process? Because, you co-founded something that didn't exist. I'm sure there were some trepidations or maybe fears or hesitations, or maybe, were there hardships along the way that you didn't expect to face?
There were some hardships. I think one of the things that we struggled with was getting the program off the ground. We really wanted to have some corporate anchors here in town. And there were some wonderful organizations that we reached out to even before we went to UCF. And one in particular was led by a man who had a lot of influence in Central Florida and is a great person. He's retired now, but he told me and others on our founding board that there was no way that Central Florida was going to promote or support an organization of this magnitude as a nonprofit, and that's really one of the things that has been important to us, because when we did establish this program, we created a program that literally only costs $850 for an entire 8-month series. The value's there, the content's there, but the reason that we keep the price as low as we do is so that it's affordable and that there are no barriers to entry. And what we were told initially when we started the program was, well, it has to be a program that's going to bring in a lot of profit for it to work. Well, that isn't the case. I mean, fortunately, we didn't stop there. We decided to keep going forward. And like I said earlier, we had some women who we went out to in the community, and we said, this is something we really want to do, but we want to keep this program available to everybody. We don't want there to be any hindrance for women to come into the program. And that was something that was important to many of our supporters who did decide to become facilitators and did decide to become sponsors. And we've still held true to that to this day. And that's important.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you could have easily have taken that advice as, oh, this isn't going to work out. We shouldn't do this. This is not going to make it, but you didn't. And look at where you are now.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
and, I think timing has a lot to do with
does.
it too. And fortunately, we had a community who already was doing a phenomenal job of having women pass the baton to their younger female counterparts, but it wasn't in the radar. It just wasn't. I mean, they were doing it, but they were doing it kind of under the radar. So our program gave them an opportunity to shout it from the rooftops and say, this is why it's so important. And, why we want companies to get behind this. And so I think one of the greatest things too is that we got some really big companies over the first few years to come and support us and then say, we value this program so much, we're going to keep investing in this program, and we're going to keep having women from our company go through this program. Orlando Health was one of the very first organizations that came to us and said, we want to support you. And UCF and Valencia, and, I think about all the banks in town, everything from Truist Bank to Cogent Bank. We had the Orlando Economic Partnership who backed us. And to this day, we still have all these really strong organizations, but we're also seeing smaller organizations in other industries, whether it's real estate or construction, restaurants and hospitality, who are all saying, we don't offer this type of resource in-house, but you offer it, so we want to continue to support you. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they've done.
Well, and that's very smart on their part too. Yeah. And I think especially, I've noticed this, I'm sure you have too, there is this thirst, especially by women, to have people investing and pouring into them. And if those avenues don't exist in the workplace, like, it's easy to start to look elsewhere, And
absolutely.
When a company invests in you and says, you know what, we don't offer this, but let me find you something or someone that does, that is so incredibly valuable, and in so many ways for some people matters even more than the paycheck adjustment, even though the both are important. But personal and professional development, people feeling seen, valued, and heard enough to say, this is an amazing opportunity for you, we want to sponsor and support you going through this, like, that's huge.
It is huge. And I think even now, post-COVID, it's becoming increasingly more important, because we're trying to find ways for men and women to find more connections, right? So that they don't feel so isolated. Many are coming back into the workplace, or they have a hybrid situation. This just gives them an opportunity to have that meaningful connection once a month with women that they know they can call their tribe. Right. And that's so important.
Yes, it is. And women that are working hard to be their best selves too, right? And it's like, it's a safe container and space for them to come and be around other people that want to continue to get better too. And that type of environment just propels growth. It propels so many positives in your life that you don't even realize until you're in it. So I just think this is so huge that you've done this, and I'm sure something that you'll be proud of forever and ever. So thank you for the contribution that you've made to Central Florida. And I know more women are just going to benefit from this. Hopefully they'll sign up or apply and be a part of the process.
Yes,
so
that would be wonderful.
We would love to see many listeners from She Believes She Could go and take advantage of Athena Next Gen. So thank you for that. But I got the chance to hear you speak a couple of years ago at the Orlando Women's Conference. And, I know we're both fans of Christy and Kate. They are incredible people.
They are.
But you shared a story that I had not heard up until that point. And it rocked me to my core. And what you have been through and lived through and now so powerfully and eloquently speak on behalf of is something that I really wanted our audience to hear. And would you mind if we kind of shift gears at this point in our conversation and share a little bit more of that side of the story?
50% of mental health illnesses begin by age 14, yet only 1/3 of parents regularly discuss mental health with their children. Advent Health for Children and Heart of Florida United Way are teaming up to change this. We're helping people take pride in caring for their minds by empowering them to join our new movement and be a mind leader. We've created resources to encourage conversations around mental health and help shape the next generation of mind leaders. Learn more and join the movement at beamindleader.com.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's a hard story to tell, but I do speak about it because I think it's a very important story to tell. My story is one where I am a gunshot survivor. 5 years ago in March of 2020, I was living with my husband in Maitland, Florida. We had a typical Sunday. It was a Sunday night. And we had a very loud blast at the front door. I had come out of the bedroom trying to see if I could find out what was going on toward the front of the house. And before I even made it all the way to the front of the house, the entire front door blew in. And a gunman came into the house, started shooting immediately. And my husband was actually on the other side of the house watching TV. And he came out, and when I realized that there was a gunman in the home, I immediately went back to the bedroom because I remembered that I needed to get to my phone.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most important thing. And I dialed 911. And as I was on the phone with the dispatcher, I had locked the bedroom door, and I noticed that within just a few seconds after I got to my phone, all of a sudden bullet holes started coming through the bedroom door. So I got myself into the bathroom, locked the bathroom door, but I had fallen, I had slid on the tile floor. And so when I slid, I was laying on my side, and that's when the gunman started pointing the gun through the bathroom door, and I was shot 4 times. I was shot 3 times in the abdomen, once in my right leg. And I'll be honest, I really thought that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking to myself, oh, this is how I'm going to die. And then even though I was screaming, and I somehow or another kept screaming into the phone that the dispatcher was hearing what I was saying, I remember my mom being there, and my mom had passed away 5 years prior.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there, and she said, you have to open the bathroom door. You have to open the door. And what had happened was the police had already arrived. They were trying to get into the bathroom. The gunman got spooked and left. The police were trying desperately to get into the bathroom, and I won't call it a near-death experience, but I did feel that she was there. She was my angel that was there, and I did back away so that they could get into the bathroom. I was rushed to ORMC that night, and the first operation that they did was on the right leg so that I wouldn't lose the leg.
Mm-hmm.
But then they had a series of emergency operations that they had to do because the abdomen was one that was basically my entire intestine had been exuding from my abdomen. And so they had to put me under a medically induced coma. And I was under that coma for 9 days. So the night of the incident was March 8th. I woke up on March 17th. Mm-hmm. When I woke up, my hands were restrained to the bed. I was intubated. And what I did not understand is why all these people were walking around in like these yellow hazmat suits. Well, COVID had happened while I was asleep. And so ORMC was on lockdown, and all the doctors that were on the team were basically asked to, come into ICU and do rounds. But I mean, they were just trying to navigate what was happening too inside of the hospital system. When I woke up, I found out that Steve had died. He was shot and killed that night. And I also had to find out, full transparency, that the shooter was my brother, Kevin. And he had been mentally ill. He was surrounded by SWAT teams the day after the shooting out in Oviedo. And they had a 9-hour standoff with him. They went to send in the robot, and he killed himself. So it has been a lot of tragedy, and 26 operations in 2.5 years, mostly because Dr. Michael Cheatham, who's the chief surgical officer at Orlando Health, he saved my life. However, having said that, he had to go back in and do multiple surgeries and had to wait sometimes almost a year for the stomach to heal before he could go back in. And so I had temporary colostomy. I had fistulas that surfaced on my abdomen. And then I went into cardiac arrest a year after the incident happened because so many of the electrolytes had leaked out through my bowels. And I happened to be in the hospital. I was in and out of the hospital quite a bit over that 2-year period, and I happened to be there, and I guess I passed out. One of the nurses found me. They were able to resuscitate me, but again, I was saved a second time at Orlando Health. And And so, what I experienced was nothing but utter safety and comfort in a place where I felt that nowhere else. I didn't feel safe or comfortable anywhere else but inside of those hospital walls. And over time, as I was dealing with the physical recovery, I started to go into therapy and started dealing with the PTSD. And so, I've been in PTSD therapy now for almost 3 years, and that has helped a lot. And one of the things that my therapist did was she connected me to an organization called Everytown Survivors Network. And that was a game changer, because Everytown is the largest organization for gun violence advocacy prevention work. So they basically, if you can imagine, like, students demand action and moms demand action and March for Our Lives, Everytown is the umbrella organization over all of those groups across the country. And they really advocate for gun violence prevention. One of the unique programs they have is a program that does do peer group support for gun violence survivors. And that was the difference for me. Therapy's been wonderful, but I needed to be around people who had gone through something similar to what I had been through, so that I didn't feel like I was going crazy. And I have stayed connected to that organization since the day I got introduced to them. And just last December, I was selected as a national fellow for Everytown. And that means that I have the honor to go out and speak to groups around the country and to the media and to community task forces that are working so hard to end gun violence. So that's been probably one of the best things that could have ever happened to me through the therapy.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for doing the work that now you are doing too, because other people need you in their lives for sure. And you having the courage to share something that was so tragic and horrific in your life, right? When you can channel it and find your ability to contribute in a meaningful way, it helps with that healing process. And it will never make sense why it happened, but it will give you an outlet to be able to help others and to hopefully prevent a lot of this from happening in other communities too. So you are absolutely incredible. And I know that, I remember you were the morning keynote, correct?
Yes.
I was.
Mm-hmm.
I remember sitting there and it was like a pin, you could hear a pin drop. You moved that entire room, and that is one room of probably 400 women. I can't even imagine the way that your story is just going to continue to leave that impression and make that mark on so many people's lives. So thank you for sharing it. Thank you for sharing it with us and all the work that you're doing as well.
Thank you.
So
it's important work because my brother was mentally ill. He never got diagnosed. We tried for years and it just got to a point where I didn't feel safe communicating with him anymore. Having said that, I think that the conversation on a national scale has to be that mental illness and gun violence are intertwined. They are not two separate issues. And we see this so often, unfortunately, when we see the news and we see mass shootings and we see, what's happening. Those two issues have to be talked about in the same room, in the same space. And I don't believe for a second that this has anything to do with politics, because all of us go to school or we go to church or we go to the grocery store, and gun violence is one thing that does not discriminate. Doesn't matter what zip code you live in. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in. It simply matters that it can happen. It can happen anywhere. And as soon as we become advocates for gun safety, then I think we will become a better country as a whole. And then we can lead other countries across the entire world. And that's what I'd love to see happen.
Yeah. Well, every day that people such as yourselves or those that are really passionate out there doing the work, you're mobilizing communities too, right? And
Yeah.
I could not agree with you more. Mental health goes right alongside this. And, I've spent, 20 years in that industry myself, and walked alongside a lot of people that struggled with acknowledging that something was wrong, but they were doing the right thing by getting help and they were seeking support. And I preach this from the rooftops all the time. We all have physical health. We all have mental health. And if something isn't right or something is off, you have to take care of it because it can become so significant, so severe, and mood altering, life altering, decision altering, like everything can change in such a drastic way if you don't take care of your own mental health too. So it's hard. But I recognize, right, when there's people in our lives that are resistant to help or that don't want to take those steps, and we have to keep showing up and encouraging them to keep going and to keep doing those things, to take the steps, to get help, to make the phone call. There are so many amazing people, and I'll link these resources in the show notes, but there are so many incredible therapists, clinicians, practitioners that are out there that specialize in helping people navigate mental illness and helping them getting on a path to wellness. And I just, if nothing else comes from today's conversation, like, please take care of yourself and do a checkup from the neck up and make sure that you're okay.
That's so important. I'm really glad that you mentioned that because it is absolutely of the utmost importance. In a lot of instances, I think for most people, it may not be our fault, but it is our responsibility.
Yes.
Right.
Correct. Absolutely. And that's valuable information and advice too, right? Like, we can't help our circumstances. Life happens, things happen, and how we respond is affected by so many of those things. And we do a lot of work with Be a Mind Leader, with Advent Health's program, with, just incredible work that they're doing. And one of the stats that I share just all the time is that, over 50% of mental health diagnoses are able to be diagnosed by the time you're 14, right? There's some warning signs, symptoms, right, that are present. And that is an early onset. And you think about how many lives go lived without people addressing some of those things that came in during literally adolescence, right? Like, that started to be present. But the more proactive, like, the best day to get help is today if you need it. So
I agree.
There's so many resources. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the work that you do in so many ways. And what a privilege it has been to share this space with you today. I'm just very, very humbled that you're sitting across from me and we're having this conversation. So, but there are two questions that I love to ask every guest that come on the show. The first one being, what does confidence mean to you?
Confidence means to me that we have full trust in ourselves.
Yeah. The ability to leap from here, right? Like, when you can trust yourself and you can, even if it's just a little bit, right? To take that first step, to make that phone call, to reach out to somebody, to show up for an amazing experience like Athena, or a meeting that maybe you'll meet somebody. Like, when you trust yourself enough to show up or to do the next thing, that compounds so significantly. So
absolutely. I think one of the things I've learned a lot through therapy too is the importance of self-compassion.
Yeah.
I'm 58. I was not taught this coming up. I was in that world where, you worked really, really hard, and my parents said, go into work early, leave late, do all the things and keep working hard and hard and hard, and be happy with all the things that you get. Right. And I will always be grateful. I do think, though, that in some instances, we also have to realize there should be a balance. It can't always be about taking care of everybody else and people pleasing. It has to be a lot about self-compassion. So that trusting ourselves is definitely aligned with self-compassion.
Thank you for bringing that up. It's an important conversation. We are so hard on ourselves. We're our own worst critics.
Yes.
We put a tremendous amount of pressure on ourselves, even more than what anybody else would. And so thank you for calling that out. That does not get discussed enough. And I'm glad that became part of our conversation today. Who else inspires you? That's my last question for you. Who do you like reading books from, or who do you follow on social, or are there speakers? Or, I mean, you have such a vast network. I mean, you listed just the most incredible list as you were talking about that initial cohort that we're, facilitating for you with Athena. But, who do you look to now for inspiration, words of wisdom, locally or internationally?
I mean, that's such a great question. And going on this self-compassion tour that I've been on, I keep finding all these amazing resources. One that I love is Glennon Doyle. We Can Do Hard Things. I think that she is somebody who went through a lot of trauma, and what she's doing now to help women. I mean, what a remarkable inspiration she is. Another person that I love is Elizabeth Vargas, and she has a podcast called Heart of the Matter. And she herself has had quite a story. But in addition to that, she brings some of the most remarkable interviewees onto her show. And again, talking about, everything from childhood trauma to issues, having to deal with drug and alcohol abuse and mental health and anxiety, which I think a lot of women struggle with. I certainly have over the years. And I love that she's so really honest, and her guests are as well. And then I'd be, crazy not to say Mel Robbins. I mean, the let them theory, I'm sure a lot of people tell you that, but what a phenomenal book, And I've now read it and listened to it on Audible, and I like doing both, actually. I think I got more out of that. So it's great. And I didn't expect, right? Like, so I went into it figuring there was going to be great advice for let them, but when she turns it back and says, let me, right? Let me make these choices. Let me take ownership over this. Let me make the decisions. I was like, let me do the things, right? Like, it was excellent. And all of her books too. I love Mel Robbins. Like I loved the high five theory. I loved all of it. 5-second rule. I mean, she has a way of just being so relatable and distilling down what I think we've over time complicated back down to like the basics and the principles. Like, why are we making this harder to like do life and figure out what to do next? Like, and I love her. I think she's fabulous. She is definitely on my wish list for one day. Mel, I'm saying, hey, come on to the show. You have to come. Come join us. Have to. Allison will be amazing interviewing you. I think the two of you will have a ball together too. Oh my gosh. So from our lips to God's ears, we're calling for you, Mel. But thank you so much for being on our show today. If people want to connect with you, what's the best place to find you? Yeah, sure. So they can contact me through AthenaLeadershipOrlando.com. That's probably one of the best places. And also on LinkedIn. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for being on the show today. I'm so grateful for our time together. Thank you, Allison. What a pleasure. I enjoyed it. Thanks. And that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you found inspiration, insight, and maybe even that little push that you needed to keep moving towards your goals. Remember, you are capable, you are worthy, and you are meant for more. Whatever dreams are on your heart, keep showing up, keep believing, and keep taking action, because the world needs what only you can bring. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend who needs to hear this message today. And if you want to keep the conversation going, please connect with me over on Instagram at Allison Walsh. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway. We've also got some awesome freebies that we've linked in the show notes, so make sure that you take advantage of them. Until next time, keep believing in yourself, keep shining bright, and never forget, I believe in you 1000%, and my goal is that you do too. Take care, beautiful. We'll see you next time.